Hey everyone, hope you're doing great. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll dive into what if Naruto was secretly evolving beyond all Kage. Smash that subscribe button, and be sure to peek at the description below. Let's begin. The sun hung high over the land of fire, a blistering white eye staring down at the verdant forests that acted as the natural walls of Konohagakure. The heat was oppressive, the kind that made the air shimmer above the road, distorting the horizon. Two figures walked along the main path leading to the great gates. One was a towering man with a mane of wild white hair, his wooden sandals clacking rhythmically against the dirt. The other was younger, dressed in a black and orange tracksuit that looked worn, the fabric faded by the harsh suns of foreign lands. Jiraiya of the Sannin glanced sideways at his student. It had been 2.5 years. 2.5 years of sleeping under the stars, of running from the Akatsuki, of training until muscles tore and chakra coils burned. But looking at Naruto Uzumaki now, Jiraiya didn't feel the swell of pride a teacher usually felt when bringing a prodigy home. He felt a cold, gnawing dread. "We're almost there, brat," Jiraiya said, his voice forced into a casual cheerfulness. "Bet you're dying for some Ichiraku ramen, huh?" Naruto didn't answer immediately. He was walking with a strange, deliberate cadence. Every time his sandal touched the earth, there was a hesitation, as if he were testing the ground's ability to hold him. "Yeah," Naruto said finally. His voice was deeper than before, the scratchy exuberant tenor of his boyhood smoothed out into a resonant baritone. "Ramen sounds necessary." Jiraiya winced internally at the word choice. Necessary. Not good. Not delicious. Necessary. Fuel. They reached the massive green gates. Izumo and Kotetsu were slumped in their booth, bored out of their minds, swatting at flies. When the shadows of the two travelers fell over them, Izumo straightened up, squinting. "Wait, is that Lord Jiraiya?" Izumo nudged his partner. And Naruto stepped into the shade of the gate. He was taller, much taller, standing nearly at Jiraiya's shoulder height now. His baby fat was gone, replaced by a jawline that looked as if it had been chiseled from granite. His blue eyes, once wide and frantic with the need for attention, were calm. Disturbingly calm. They looked like the surface of the ocean on a windless day, hiding crushed depths beneath. "Hey," Naruto said. He raised a hand in a lazy wave. "Naruto?" Kotetsu's jaw dropped. "Is that you? You've grown." "People tend to do that," Naruto replied. He stepped past them. As he walked by the booth, Izumo felt a sudden drop in air pressure, a heavy static charge that made the hair on his arms stand up. It felt like standing next to a thunderstorm that was holding its breath. Izumo shuddered, watching the boy's back. "Is it just me?" Izumo whispered once they were out of earshot, "or did the air just get harder to breathe?" Konoha hadn't changed, but it felt smaller to Naruto. He walked through the streets, his hands deep in his pockets. The noise of the village, the merchants shouting, children playing, the clatter of daily life, assaulted his heightened senses. He could hear the heartbeat of a shopkeeper 3 stalls away. He could smell the iron in the blood of a ninja leaping across the rooftops 5 blocks east. It was loud. It was fragile. Everything is made of glass, Naruto thought, watching a group of kids run past him. If I trip, if I sneeze, if I lose focus for 1 second, I'll break it all. "Control," a voice rumbled in the back of his mind. It wasn't the screeching, hateful voice of the Ninetales from his childhood. It was a deep, resonating vibration that seemed to come from his very marrow. "Center your gravity. Do not let the energy leak. You are a vessel. Be a lid." "I know, Kurama. I know." "Naruto!" The shout came from down the street. Naruto stopped, his feet rooting instantly to the cobblestones. He turned slowly to see a flash of pink hair sprinting toward him. Sakura Haruno. She looked different, too. Stronger. Her chakra signature was tighter, refined, coiled like a spring. She closed the distance in seconds, skidding to a halt in front of him. Her green eyes widened as she took in his height, his broader shoulders, the way the black fabric of his new outfit stretched taut across his chest. "You're back." Sakura beamed, her hands hovering as if she wanted to hug him but wasn't sure if she should. "Lady Tsunade said you were coming today, but wow. You're tall." Hey, Sakura, Naruto said. He offered a small smile. It felt practiced. He had spent hours in front of a mirror practicing it. Lift the corners of the mouth. Crinkle the eyes. Look harmless. You haven't changed a bit. Ha! You wish, she laughed, punching him playfully in the shoulder. Thud. The sound wasn't a slap of skin on skin. It sounded like she had punched a sandbag filled with lead shot. Sakura pulled her hand back, blinking in confusion. Her knuckles throbbed. He hadn't flexed. He hadn't moved. It just felt dense. You've been training hard, she murmured, rubbing her hand. You feel like a rock. Jiraiya didn't give me many breaks, Naruto said. He carefully, slowly, reached out and patted her head. He had to calculate the force. Don't crush the skull. Feather touch. Like handling a baby bird. It's good to see you, Sakura. Jiraiya watched the interaction from a few steps back, his eyes narrowed. He saw the hesitation in Naruto's hand. He saw the way Naruto's feet had sunk an inch deeper into the dirt when Sakura punched him, absorbing the kinetic energy without swaying. All right, enough with the reunion, Jiraiya announced, stepping between them. We need to report to the Hokage. Naruto, don't wander off. You're a flight risk, remember? I'm not going anywhere, pervy sage, Naruto sighed. The nickname lacked its usual bite. It was just a word now. The Hokage's office was cool, shaded from the midday sun. Tsunade sat behind her desk, her fingers interlaced, her chin resting on her hands. Shizen stood by her side, clutching Tonton the pig. Tsunade studied the boy standing before her. She had seen strong shinobi. She was the granddaughter of the god of shinobi. She had fought alongside Orochimaru and Jiraiya. She knew power, but what she was looking at in Naruto wasn't chakra. Usually, a ninja's presence was defined by their chakra signature: fiery, calm, sharp, or massive. Naruto's chakra was certainly massive, but it was currently retracted, buried deep within him. What unsettled Tsunade was his biological presence. He stood with a stillness that was unnatural. His breathing was so slow she had to focus to see his chest rise. His skin had a faint, almost imperceptible luster, like polished stone. Welcome back, Tsunade said, breaking the silence. I trust the training was fruitful. It was, Jiraiya answered for him. He's mastered the basics. His chakra control is significantly improved. And the Akatsuki? Tsunade asked, eyes flicking to Naruto. Quiet for now, Naruto answered. His voice filled the room, bouncing off the walls with a heavy timbre. But they're moving. I can feel them, Tsunade frowned. You can feel them? From here? Naruto blinked, as if realizing he had said too much. I mean, I have a bad feeling. Intuition. Tsunade exchanged a look with Jiraiya. The Toad Sage gave a microscopic shake of his head. Don't push it. Right, Tsunade said, leaning back. Well, you're back in the village, which means you return to active duty. However, since Sasuke is gone, Team 7 is currently defunct. We need to assess your current level to see where you fit. The bell test, Naruto stated. It wasn't a question. Sharp, Tsunade smirked. Kakashi is waiting for you at the third training ground. You and Sakura will face him. Same rules as before. Get the bells. Naruto nodded. Understood. Naruto, Tsunade called out as he turned to leave. He paused, looking back over his shoulder. Grandma? Take it easy, she said softly. You've just got back. Don't break anything. Naruto's expression was unreadable. I'll try. The third training ground was a place of memories. 3 wooden posts stood in the center of the clearing, the grass swaying gently in the wind. Kakashi Hatake leaned against the center post, reading his orange book. He looked exactly the same as the day he had failed them years ago. One visible eye, relaxed posture, the very image of a aloof jonin. But under the mask, Kakashi was tense. He had sensed them coming from a mile away. Sakura's chakra was bright and fierce. But Naruto felt like a void. It wasn't that he had no chakra. It was that his chakra was so tightly compressed it felt like a singularity. It was a heavy, gravitational weight that moved closer and closer until Kakashi felt the urge to put his book away and unseal his Sharingan immediately. He resisted the urge. Calm down, Kakashi. It's just your cute little students. The bushes rustled. Sakura stepped out, adjusting her gloves. Naruto followed, walking into the clearing with that same heavy, deliberate gait. Yo, Kakashi said, curving into a smile. You guys are late. We met some people on the road, Naruto said. He reached into his pouch. Kakashi tensed, hand drifting toward his kunai holster. Naruto pulled out a green book. Aika Tactics. He tossed it through the air. A gift, Naruto said. Jiraiya-sensei's latest manuscript. Not even on the shelves yet. Kakashi caught it. He looked at the book, then at Naruto. It was the perfect distraction. It was exactly what the old Naruto would have done to lower his guard, but the book had traveled in a perfectly straight line. No arc. It had cut through the air with enough velocity that it made a thwip sound, yet Naruto had looked like he barely flicked his wrist. Bribery, Kakashi mused, tucking the book away. Smart. But it won't get you the bells. He reached into his pocket and produced 2 silver bells. They chimed softly. You know the rules, Kakashi said, tying them to his belt. Come at me with the intent to kill. If you don't, you'll never get them. He looked at Naruto specifically. Did you hear me, Naruto? Intent to kill. Naruto's blue eyes dulled. I heard you. Start. Sakura moved first. She slammed her fist into the ground, screaming Shinaro. The earth exploded. Kakashi leaped back as the ground where he had been standing shattered into a crater of jagged rock. He landed on a tree branch, impressed. Tsunade's strength. She's become a monster. Naruto, now! Sakura yelled, creating a pincer formation. Naruto was already moving. He didn't run. He simply pushed off the ground. The earth beneath his sandal didn't just crack. It pulverized into fine dust. He was in front of Kakashi instantly. Kakashi's eye widened. Fast. No shunshin. Just raw speed. Naruto threw a punch. It was a simple right cross, basic academy style. Kakashi raised his forearm to block, reinforcing it with chakra. Wham! Kakashi was launched backward as if he'd been hit by a wrecking ball. He smashed through 3 tree trunks before he managed to flip and dig his heels into the dirt, carving a 20-meter trench before coming to a stop. His arm was numb. Not just numb, the bone was vibrating. What the hell was that? Kakashi stared at Naruto, who was shaking his hand out casually. He didn't use chakra. There was no blue flare. That was just muscle. Don't lose focus, sensei. Sakura was on him again, throwing a flurry of chakra-enhanced kicks. Kakashi dodged, weaving through her attacks, but his mind was on the blonde boy standing in the middle of the clearing. Naruto wasn't joining the fray. He was watching. Calculating. He's waiting for an opening, Kakashi realized. Or, he's afraid to join in. Kakashi substituted with a log to escape Sakura's haymaker and appeared behind Naruto, kunai drawn. Rule number 1 of being a ninja, don't let your guard down. He thrust the blunt handle of the kunai toward Naruto's kidney to incapacitate him. Naruto didn't turn. His back muscles rippled under the tracksuit. Clang. The kunai handle hit Naruto's back and bounced off with the sound of metal striking an anvil. Kakashi froze. It didn't even give. Naruto slowly turned his head, looking over his shoulder. That tickled. Naruto spun, his leg whipping around for a roundhouse kick. Kakashi ducked instinctively, the wind pressure from the kick slicing a few hairs off the top of his head. The kick connected with the air, creating a vacuum blade that sliced through the tree behind Kakashi, felling it instantly. Kakashi backflipped away, sweat beading on his forehead. This isn't normal. This isn't just a power boost. His body, it's like armor. Sakura! Kakashi yelled, changing tactics. Genjutsu. Sakura weaved signs instantly. Demonic illusion, tree binding death. Naruto stood still as the illusionary vines wrapped around him. He looked down at them, bored. Kai, he whispered. He didn't pulse his chakra to disrupt the flow. He simply flexed. The sheer pressure of his own life force expanding outward shattered the genjutsu like glass. The air around him shimmered gold for a split second. Sakura gasped, clutching her chest. My chakra, he just blew it away. Okay, Kakashi said, lifting his headband to reveal the Sharingan. Playtime is over. He wove signs rapidly. Fire style, fireball jutsu. A massive sphere of flame erupted from Kakashi's mouth, engulfing Naruto. The heat was intense, singeing the leaves off nearby trees. Sakura screamed, "Naruto!" The fire roared, consuming the center of the clearing. Kakashi waited, watching for a shadow to jump out. But no one moved. The flames died down. Naruto was standing in the center of the scorched earth. He held one hand up in front of his face. His jacket was smoking slightly, but his skin was unburned. Not a mark. He lowered his hand. "Is that it?" Naruto asked. Kakashi felt a chill run down his spine. He tanked a C-rank ninjutsu with his bare skin. "Naruto," Kakashi said, his voice serious. "What did you do during those 3 years?" "I survived," Naruto said. He vanished. Kakashi's Sharingan spun wildly, tracking the movement. Naruto was coming in from above. Kakashi braced himself, crossing his arms for a block, channeling maximum chakra into his defense. Naruto came down, fist cocked. In that split second, time seemed to slow. Naruto looked into Kakashi's visible eye and saw genuine fear. "Too much," Kurama warned. "Pull back." Naruto tried to stop his momentum, but physics was a cruel mistress. He couldn't stop the mass he was carrying. He desperately shifted his aim, jerking his shoulder to the right. His fist missed Kakashi's head by 2 inches. It struck the ground beside Kakashi's feet. Boom! The sound was deafening. It wasn't an explosion, it was an implosion of earth. The ground liquefied. A shockwave of pure kinetic force erupted outward, lifting Kakashi and throwing him 50 feet into the air. Sakura was blown off her feet, tumbling into the bushes. The dust cloud rose like a mushroom, obscuring the sun. Silence fell over the training ground. Kakashi landed in a tree coughing, his vest torn from the air pressure. He looked down at the crater. It was 10 meters wide and 5 meters deep. In the center of it stood Naruto, buried up to his knees in bedrock. "Oops," Naruto whispered. Kakashi jumped down, landing warily on the edge of the crater. He looked at the destruction. This was Tsunade-level strength, but without the precision. This was raw, unadulterated catastrophe. "Naruto," Kakashi said, his voice low. "That could have killed me." Naruto pulled his legs out of the rock, crumbling stone with his hands. He looked guilty. "I slipped. I channeled too much chakra." "Sorry, Kakashi-sensei." Kakashi narrowed his eye. The Sharingan saw the truth. There was no chakra in that punch. That was just weight and acceleration. If that had connected, my head would be gone. "We're done," Kakashi said abruptly. "But the bells." Sakura stammered, climbing out of the bushes, her hair a mess. "You pass," Kakashi said, tying the bells back to his belt. He didn't want to test this any further. "Not here. Not now. Naruto, go home. Get some rest. We'll talk about mission assignments tomorrow." Naruto nodded. He didn't argue. He didn't celebrate. "Right," he said. "See ya." He walked away, his shoulders hunched. As he passed a large boulder, his elbow grazed it. A spiderweb crack appeared on the stone's surface. Kakashi watched him go until he disappeared into the tree-line. "Sakura," Kakashi said, not looking at her. "Yes, sensei? In your medical reports, did Tsunade ever mention genetic mutations in the Uzumaki clan?" Sakura blinked. "No." "Why?" "No reason," Kakashi lied. "Just curious." "Go home, Sakura." The sun had set, casting long, purple shadows over the village. Naruto sat in his apartment. It was exactly as he had left it, dusty, small, smelling faintly of old instant ramen cups. He locked the door. Then he engaged the 3 extra security seals Jiraiya had taught him. Then he closed the blinds. Only then did he allow himself to collapse. He fell onto his bed, burying his face in the pillow. A groan of agony ripped through his throat, muffled by the feathers. "It burns," he hissed. He rolled over and sat up, stripping off his orange jacket. Then the mesh shirt. He looked down at his torso in the dim light of the moon filtering through the blinds. His skin wasn't just tan. It was hardening. Along his ribs and across his pectorals, the skin had taken on a texture like fine-grained sandpaper. Under the surface, his veins weren't blue. They were glowing with a faint, pulsing golden light. He looked at his hand. He flexed his fingers. The air distorted around them, bending the light. The assimilation is at 41%, Kurama's voice echoed in the room. Naruto closed his eyes, entering his mindscape. The sewer was gone. The cage was gone. Instead, Naruto stood in a vast, golden ocean. The sky above was a swirling vortex of white energy, nature energy. Kurama lay in the center of the ocean. He was no longer the size of a mountain. He had shrunk, condensing just like Naruto. The fox was about the size of a large house now, his fur a brilliant, blinding orange. He wasn't behind bars. He was connected to Naruto by thousands of thick, glowing chains that ran from the fox's body directly into Naruto's chest. I almost killed him, Kurama, Naruto said, his avatar in the mindscape looking at his hands. I tried to hold back. I used maybe 1% of my strength. Your strength is growing exponentially, Kurama rumbled, his tails swishing through the golden water. It is not just my chakra anymore. It is the nature energy. Your body, it is adapting too well. Adapting? Naruto laughed bitterly. I'm turning into a monster. Kakashi saw it. He knows, he suspects, Kurama corrected. But he cannot comprehend. No human can. You are doing what the sages of old did, but you are not using techniques. You are evolving. Naruto looked at the chains connecting them. During the training trip, Jiraiya had tried to teach him to control the Nine-Tails chakra. But something went wrong. Or perhaps, something went right. Naruto's Uzumaki lineage, a bloodline famed for its vitality and life force, reacted violently to the constant influx of Bijuu chakra and the ambient nature energy Jiraiya was exposing him to. Instead of the chakra sitting in a seal, Naruto's cells began to eat it. His mitochondria mutated. His muscle fibers' density tripled, then quadrupled. His bones became denser than steel to support the weight of the energy he was storing. He was becoming a living reactor. The pain is a good sign, Kurama said, though his voice held a note of sympathy. It means your body is breaking down the weak human cells and replacing them with something else. Something else, Naruto repeated. What am I becoming, Kurama? The fox looked at him with slit red eyes. There was no malice there anymore. Only a solemn respect and a hint of fear. You are becoming a vessel capable of holding the world, Kurama said. But the world is heavy, Naruto. And if you are not careful, you will crush everyone you try to protect. Naruto left the mindscape. He sat on the edge of his bed, looking at his glowing veins. He reached out to the bedside table to grab a glass of water. He didn't grip it hard. He just touched it. Crack! The glass shattered into dust in his hand. Water spilled over his fingers, turning to steam instantly upon contact with his burning skin. Naruto stared at the wet dust on his palm. I'm home, he whispered to the empty room. A tear leaked from his eye. It was heavy, like mercury. It rolled down his cheek and hit the floor with a heavy tap, leaving a tiny dent in the wood. I'm home. The concept of delicacy was something Naruto Uzumaki had never truly understood as a child. Back then, everything was loud, fast, and rough. He slammed doors, he stomped his feet, he shouted his lungs out. He was a blunt instrument in a world that favored scalpels. Now, delicacy was the only thing keeping the world from crumbling around him. Naruto sat on the edge of his hospital bed, assigned to him for observation after the Bell test, though he wasn't injured in the slightest, and held a plastic cup of water. He stared at the water. The surface was vibrating. Not because of an earthquake, and not because his hand was shaking. His hand was perfectly steady. The water was vibrating because his pulse was too strong. Every time his heart beat, a subtle shockwave traveled through his arm, into his fingertips, and into the cup. Thump. Ripple. Thump. Ripple. Calm down, he told his heart. Beat softer. It is difficult to suppress a star, Naruto. Kurama's voice drifted through his mind, deep and resonant. Your biology is optimizing for maximum output. Idling is inefficient. I don't care about efficiency, Naruto thought back, setting the cup down on the metal tray table with agonizing slowness. I care about not exploding this room. He looked at the tray table. Where his finger had brushed the metal edge, there was a slight indentation. It looked like the metal had softened, yielding to his touch like warm clay. He sighed, pulling his hand away. The door slid open. Kakashi Hatake hobbled in, leaning on a single crutch. His vest was patched, but he moved with a stiffness that suggested deep bruising. Naruto felt a spike of guilt so sharp it tasted like copper. "Yo, Kakashi-sensei." "Yo," Kakashi replied, his single visible eye curving into a smile that didn't quite reach the edges. He maneuvered himself into the chair beside the bed. "Good news. You're discharged. Tsunade couldn't find anything wrong with you. In fact, she said your cell activity is bafflingly robust." "That's good, right?" Naruto asked, feigning his old grin. "It is," Kakashi agreed. He leaned his crutch against the wall. "But it brings us to the next problem. You're strong, Naruto. Physically, you might be the strongest person in the village right now, but strength without versatility is just a hammer. And not every problem is a nail." Naruto nodded. He knew where this was going. "Training, nature transformation," Kakashi corrected. "You need a jutsu that fits you. Something that can bridge the gap between your raw power and actual combat application. Also, we need to work on your control." "That crater yesterday? That can happen on a mission." "I know." Naruto looked down at his hands. "I'm working on it." "Good. Meet me at Training Ground 10 in an hour. And bring Asuma's team. I've called in a favor." Training Ground 10 was a landscape of rolling hills and dense forest, usually peaceful. Today, it felt oppressive. The heat was sweltering, the air thick with humidity. When Naruto arrived, Sakura was already there, chatting with Sai, the pale, ink-using ninja who had been assigned to replace Sasuke. Sai was smiling that fake, painted-on smile that made Naruto's skin crawl, not out of anger, but because Naruto could hear the insincerity in the boy's heartbeat. It skipped a beat every time he lied. And then there was Captain Yamato. The wood-style user stood by a large tree, his face shadowed by his Happuri protector. He looked anxious. "You're late," Yamato said, though without heat. "Got lost on the road of life," Naruto quipped, stealing Kakashi's line. Kakashi hobbled into the clearing a moment later. "Right. Let's get started. Naruto, do you know how chakra natures work?" Naruto blinked. He did. Jiraiya had explained it. But he had to play the part. He had to be the knucklehead ninja, not the entity that could feel the electromagnetic static in the air. Fire beats wind, or something?" Kakashi sighed, and for the next 20 minutes he lectured. He explained the 5 elements. He explained affinities. Naruto listened, but his mind was elsewhere. He was focusing on the grass beneath his feet. He could feel the roots drinking water deep underground. He could feel the photosynthesis happening in the leaves of the trees around them. It was a cacophony of biological noise. "So," Kakashi finished, holding out a small square of paper. "This is chakra induction paper. Channel your chakra into it. If it burns, fire. Crumbles, earth. Wrinkles, lightning. Gets wet, water. Splits in half, wind." Kakashi handed the paper to Naruto. Naruto took it. It felt fragile. Thinner than a butterfly's wing. Just a little, Naruto told himself. Just a whisper of chakra. He closed his eyes. He reached into the ocean of power inside him, bypassed the roaring tidal waves, and tried to scoop up a single drop. He pushed it into his fingertips. The air around his hand distorted. Snap! The paper didn't just split. It vanished. There was a sharp crack of displaced air, and the paper ceased to exist. In its place, a thin vacuum line appeared in the air for a microsecond before the atmosphere rushed back in with a pop. Everyone stared. Naruto said, staring at his empty fingers. It disappeared. Kakashi leaned forward, his eye narrowing. It didn't disappear. It disintegrated. And I saw a split second of separation before it turned to dust. "So, wind?" Naruto asked hopefully. "Wind," Kakashi confirmed, though he looked disturbed. "But usually it just cuts the paper. You pulverized it." "I guess I'm just enthusiastic," Naruto laughed nervously, rubbing the back of his head. He had to be careful. He hadn't used wind release. He had simply pushed raw life force into the paper, and the paper's molecular structure couldn't handle the density, so it unraveled. But if they thought it was wind, that was fine. Wind is rare, Kakashi said, recovering his composure. It's a strong combat element. It fits you. But mastering it takes time. Years, usually. I don't have years, Naruto said, his voice dropping an octave. Exactly, Kakashi nodded. Which is why we're going to cheat. Kakashi explained the shadow clone training method. The memory transfer. The exponential learning curve. I can do 1,000 clones, Naruto said. Start with 200, Yamato advised, stepping forward. My job is to keep the Ninetales suppression seal active. If you use too much chakra, the fox's influence might leak out. If I see the cloak, I suppress it. Naruto looked at Yamato. The man was confident in his wood style. He had the first Hokage's DNA. He has no idea, Naruto thought. The fox isn't trying to take over. The fox is the only thing acting as a ballast. Right, Naruto said. He crossed his fingers in the signature cross seal. Shadow clone jutsu. Poof. The clearing was instantly filled with smoke. But it wasn't the light, wispy smoke of a standard jutsu. It was heavy, gray smoke that sank to the ground like dry ice fog. 200 Narutos stood in the clearing. Usually, shadow clones were fragile. One hit, and they vanished. But these clones, they looked solid. They stood with perfect posture. Their eyes were sharp. The ground beneath the army groaned audibly under the sudden increase in mass. Okay. The original Naruto shouted. Listen up, guys. We're cutting leaves. Grab a leaf and cut it with your chakra. The clones scattered. They didn't run, they moved with that same unnerving, gliding speed. They grabbed leaves from the trees and sat down in rows. Kakashi watched from the sidelines, leaning on his crutch. Yamato, do you feel that? Yamato was sweating. He had his hands clasped in a snake seal, ready to activate his suppression jutsu. I feel pressure. It's not the malicious chakra of the Kyuubi. It's just heavy. It feels like standing next to a waterfall. Keep your guard up, Kakashi murmured. Hours passed. For Naruto, it was a nightmare of restraint. Each clone was a part of him, and each clone shared his burden. They held the leaves between their fingers. They tried to sharpen their chakra into a blade, but Naruto's chakra didn't want to be a blade. It wanted to be a flood. Every time a clone tried to make the chakra sharp, the leaf would either explode, turn into ash, or petrify. Focus, Naruto commanded himself. Thin. Make it thin. He sat by himself near the edge of the stream, away from the clones. He held a maple leaf in his palm. He closed his eyes and visualized the wind. He remembered the feeling of the Rasengan, the rotation. Wind was just rotation and edge. He pushed the energy. The leaf trembled. The green color drained out of it, replaced by a metallic gray. It became stiff. Naruto opened his eyes. He poked the leaf. It was hard as steel. Damn it, he whispered. I'm reinforcing it again. His life force, yang, was so potent that instead of cutting the leaf, separation, he was instinctively breathing too much life into it, mutating its structure, making it denser, stronger. He wasn't destroying. He was fortifying. Having trouble? Naruto jumped, controlling his reaction so he didn't launch himself into the stratosphere, and looked up. It was Yamato. A little, Naruto admitted. I can't get it to cut. I just keep changing it. Yamato sat down next to him. Wind is about severance. You have to imagine the bond between the parts of the leaf breaking. Right now, your chakra feels like it's hugging the leaf. Hugging it? Binding it, Yamato corrected. You're holding it together too tightly. You need to let go. Let go. That was the one thing Naruto couldn't do. If he let go, the containment vessel that was his body might rupture. Hey, Captain Yamato, Naruto said softly. You have the first Hokage's DNA, right? I do, Yamato nodded. Why? Did he ever feel like his body was too small? Yamato blinked. Too small? Like there was too much inside him. Like if he sneezed, he'd blow a mountain down. Yamato looked at the boy. He saw the genuine distress in those blue eyes. He softened. Lord Hashirama was a man of immense vitality. His chakra reserves were legendary. But he controlled it. He used it to create life, to build the village. Wood style is the power of life, Naruto. It's about growth, not just power. Growth, Naruto murmured. Maybe you're trying too hard, Yamato suggested. Here. Let me help you regulate the flow. If I suppress the excess, maybe you can focus on the nature transformation. I don't think that's a good idea, Naruto said quickly. Nonsense. That's what I'm here for. Yamato raised his hand, the palm facing Naruto. Sit still. Yamato's hand began to glow with the chakra of the Hokage-style 60-year-old entry technique. The wooden pillars on his shoulders creaked. He aimed to place a gentle suppressor on Naruto's core, just to dial back the volume of chakra so Naruto could finesse the wind. Captain, really don't. Yamato's hand touched Naruto's shoulder. Contact. It didn't feel like chakra suppression. It felt like dropping a match into a swimming pool of gasoline. Yamato's wood-style chakra, which was derived from Hashirama's cells, came into contact with Naruto's current biological state. Naruto wasn't just an Uzumaki anymore. His evolution was pushing him towards something ancestral, something akin to the Tentail's raw vitality, the source of all nature energy. Hashirama's cells sought the source. And they found it. Boom. There was no explosion of fire. There was an explosion of green. Yamato screamed as the wooden pillars on his shoulders suddenly elongated, shooting outward not by inches, but by miles. The grass around them didn't just grow, it erupted. In the span of a single heartbeat, the quiet training ground was violated. Massive roots, thick as houses, burst from the earth, shattering the bedrock. Trees shot up into the sky like missiles, piercing the clouds, their trunks widening until they crushed the surrounding hills. Captain? Naruto yelled. He saw Yamato being consumed by his own jutsu. The wood was reacting to the proximity of Naruto's aura, feeding off the radiation of life force he was emitting. It was growing uncontrollably, a cancer of nature. Yamato was pinned against a rapidly expanding oak, branches wrapping around him, squeezing the life out of him. It won't stop. Yamato gasped, his eyes wide with terror. My chakra, it's being pulled out. It's resonating. Naruto realized what was happening. He was a battery, and Yamato was a wire that had just plugged itself in. The voltage was frying him. I have to cut the connection. Naruto didn't use a jutsu. He didn't have time. He reached out and grabbed the massive root that was crushing Yamato. The wood was as hard as iron, enhanced by the first cells. Naruto squeezed. Crack. The sound was like a gunshot. Naruto crushed the meter-thick root with one hand, splintering it into sawdust. He grabbed Yamato by the vest and pulled. He threw Yamato, gently he hoped, away from him. Back off. Naruto roared at the forest. He released a pulse of his own chakra. Not to feed it, but to dominate it. He asserted his will over the nature energy. Stop. The shockwave of golden pressure flattened the grass for 100 meters. The expanding forest groaned and froze. The trees stopped growing instantly. Flowers that were blooming mid-second withered slightly, bowing down. Silence returned to training ground 10, but the landscape was ruined. What had been a flat clearing was now a dense, ancient jungle of twisted, skyscraper-sized trees. Kakashi was standing on top of one of the new trees, his book forgotten. He stared down at the scene. Yamato lay in the grass, gasping for air, clutching his chest. Naruto stood 10 feet away, his hands raised in a don't shoot gesture. Naruto stammered. I told you not to touch me. Yamato looked up. His face was pale. He had felt it. For that brief second of contact, he had felt the abyss. It wasn't the Nine Tails. He knew the Nine Tails chakra. It was cold, oily, hateful. This was like touching the sun. It was a blinding, overwhelming life. It was the same sensation he got from the first Hokage's cells, but multiplied by 1,000. Naruto, Yamato wheezed, sitting up. What are you? I'm just Naruto, he said, his voice cracking. He looked at his hands. They were trembling now. Not from effort but from fear. I'm sorry. I'll go train somewhere else. Wait, Kakashi landed beside them. He looked at the devastation. Yamato, report. What happened? Did the seal weaken? Yamato looked at Naruto. He saw the boy's terrified expression. He saw the way Naruto was holding himself, like a bomb trying not to detonate. Yamato swallowed. No, he lied. No, the seal is fine. My control slipped. I tried to suppress him, but I reacted to the nature energy in the air. A feedback loop. My fault. Kakashi looked at Yamato skeptically. A feedback loop created a forest in 3 seconds? It was a big loop, Yamato croaked. Naruto looked at Yamato, gratitude flashing in his eyes. We're done for today, Kakashi announced, his tone leaving no room for argument. Naruto, go home. Yamato needs medical attention. And I need to figure out how to explain this landscaping disaster to Tsunade. Naruto didn't argue. Okay. Sorry, Captain Yamato. It's fine, Yamato whispered. He flinched slightly as Naruto stepped closer, then caught himself. Naruto saw the flinch. It hurt more than any punch. He turned and walked away, navigating through the labyrinth of giant trees he had accidentally birthed. Night fell over Konoha. Naruto didn't go home. He couldn't be in that small apartment. The walls felt like they were closing in. He found himself at the very top of the Hokage monument, sitting on the 4th Hokage's stone hair. The wind was high up here, cold and biting. It was the only thing that felt real. The village below was a scattering of lights. People living their lives. Eating dinner. Arguing. Loving. Naruto held another leaf in his hand. Wind, he whispered. Sharp. Cut. Separate. He channeled the chakra. The leaf glowed. It didn't cut. He groaned, frustration bubbling up. Why couldn't he do this? He had learned the Rasengan in a week. He was a fast learner. Why was this simple nature transformation so impossible? Because you are trying to paint a picture with a sledgehammer, Kurama spoke. Naruto closed his eyes. Not now, Kurama. Look at the leaf, Naruto, the fox commanded. Really look at it. Naruto looked. The leaf was gray again. Hard. He tapped it against the stone head of his father. Clink. Clink. It sounded like glass. You are not failing to manipulate wind, Kurama explained. You are succeeding at something far more advanced. You are saturating the object with yang release, physical energy. You are increasing the density of the molecular bonds. You are turning organic matter into inorganic crystal. I don't want to make crystal, Naruto snapped. I want to cut it. Kakashi-sensei said wind is the only way to beat Sasuke's lightning. If I can't cut, I can't win. You think small, Kurama scoffed. Sasuke manipulates electricity. You manipulate reality. If he shoots lightning at you, and you turn the air in front of you into a wall of diamond, what good is his lightning? Naruto stared at the crystallized leaf. But that's not ninjutsu. That's just godhood, Kurama finished. Or the beginning of it. Hagoromo could do this. He could create things from nothing. You are merely altering what already exists. Naruto shuddered. I don't want to be a god. I just want to be Hokage. Then you must learn to wear the mask, Kurama said. If you want to cut the leaf, you must suppress 99.9% of your being. You must become small. You must pretend to be human. Pretend to be human. Naruto took a deep breath. He visualized himself shrinking. He visualized the roaring ocean of his soul drying up until it was just a small puddle. He visualized his bones becoming brittle, his skin becoming soft. He focused on the leaf. He focused on the weakness of the leaf. He pushed a tiny, fragile thread of chakra. Zip. The crystallized leaf didn't split. It shattered into 1,000 tiny shards of diamond dust, sparkling in the moonlight. Close enough, Naruto muttered. He stood up. He picked up a rock, a standard piece of limestone. He squeezed it. He didn't use strength. He poured his energy into it. He willed the atoms to condense, to pack tighter, to stop vibrating and freeze. The rock shrank. It turned from gray to a translucent, glowing white. It became heavy, impossibly heavy. Naruto reared back and threw the rock toward the forest training ground miles away. He didn't throw it hard. But the object was now so dense, so aerodynamically perfect, that it ignored air resistance. It vanished into the night. 3 seconds later, a muffled thud echoed from the distance. A plume of dust rose up, visible even in the dark. Naruto winced. I hope no one was camping there. He looked at his hand. The skin was glowing faintly in the dark, bioluminescent. He pulled his glove back on, hiding the light. The next few days were a blur of exhaustion. Not physical exhaustion, Naruto never got tired, but mental fatigue. He spent every waking moment fighting himself. He had to calibrate his movements to a microscopic degree. Walking, don't push off too hard. Eating, don't bite through the spoon. Sleeping, don't roll over and destroy the wall. And the clones. The clone training resumed. Yamato watched him like a hawk, staying a safe distance away. The forest incident was never spoken of, but the fear was there. Naruto forced his clones to be weak. He forced them to fail. He had to learn how to channel wind specifically, isolating it from the yang energy that permeated his being. It was like trying to filter salt out of seawater with his bare hands. But slowly, painfully, he made progress. He managed to cut a leaf without turning it into a diamond. Then he managed to cut a waterfall. The moment he succeeded, he felt no triumph. He just felt relief that he could finally stop holding his breath. I did it! Naruto yelled, splashing in the water. Kakashi-sensei! Look! He waved his hand. A blade of wind, pure, sharp wind, sliced through the waterfall, parting the spray. Kakashi lowered his book. Impressive. You've mastered the change in nature. Now comes the hard part. Applying it to the Rasengan. The Raisin Shuriken, Naruto said, the name coming to him instinctively. Don't name it before you've made it, Kakashi warned. The fourth Hokage couldn't do this. He couldn't add nature to the Rasengan. It requires the highest level of shape manipulation and nature manipulation simultaneously. I can do it, Naruto said. And for the first time in days he wasn't lying. He held out his hand. A clone appeared beside him. They began to form the sphere. Rotation, power, containment, and now, wind. Naruto poured the wind chakra in. The sphere began to screech. It sounded like a jet engine starting up. 4 blades of white wind appeared around the central sphere, spinning so fast they looked like a solid halo. The noise was deafening. Good, Kakashi shouted over the noise. Hold it. Stabilize it. Naruto gritted his teeth. The jutsu was unstable. It wanted to expand. It wanted to explode. But deeper than that, the jutsu was reacting to his biology again. The white wind blades began to turn gold. No, Naruto thought. Stay wind. Just wind. Don't mutate. He fought the urge to infuse it with life. He fought the urge to make it a reality-warping weapon. He forced it to remain a simple vortex of cutting air. The gold faded back to white. The sphere stabilized. It hummed with a high-pitched whine. It was beautiful. It was deadly. I did it, Naruto whispered. He looked at the jutsu. Wind style, Raisin Shuriken. Throw it! Kakashi ordered. Test it on the target. Naruto looked at the massive tree designated as the target. He pulled his arm back. Wait, his instincts screamed. If you throw this... He hesitated. Naruto? Kakashi called out. It feels unstable, Naruto lied. He let the jutsu dissipate. The wind died down. The screeching stopped. You had it, Kakashi said, walking over. Why did you stop? I lost my grip, Naruto said, panting fake breaths. I need more practice. Kakashi patted him on the shoulder. You're close. Very close. Once you master this, you'll have a weapon that can rival the Akatsuki. Naruto nodded, staring at the ground. He hadn't stopped because he lost his grip. He had stopped because, for a brief second, he saw what the jutsu would do. His enhanced perception had visualized the impact. The Raisin Shuriken wouldn't just cut the tree. The wind blades were microscopic. They would sever the cellular bonds of anything they touched. It wasn't just a shuriken. It was a poison that attacked the very concept of cohesion. And if he had let his real power slip into it? If he had let it turn gold? It wouldn't have just destroyed the tree. It would have erased the coordinates of the tree from space-time. Yeah, Naruto said quietly. A weapon. Later that evening, the team gathered for a meal. Asuma Sarutobi and Shikamaru Nara had joined them, treating Naruto to barbecue to celebrate his progress. The restaurant was noisy. The smell of cooking meat filled the air. So, Asuma said, lighting a cigarette. Kakashi tells me you're mastering wind. That's my affinity too. Maybe I can give you some pointers on blade work. That would be awesome, Asuma-sensei, Naruto said, grilling his meat. Choji tells me you've gotten stronger too, Shikamaru drawled, resting his chin on his hand. Said you nearly killed Kakashi with a punch. Exaggeration, Naruto laughed. He picked up his chopsticks. Is it? Sai asked, his voice devoid of emotion. He was sketching in a notebook. My ink mice scouted the training ground. The topography has changed. There is a new forest where there wasn't one before, and the crater density suggests impact forces equivalent to a meteor strike. The table went silent. Naruto froze, a piece of beef halfway to his mouth. Sai, Sakura hissed. Shut up. I am merely stating facts, Sai said, looking up with that fake smile. Naruto's power levels are inconsistent with his file. It is fascinating. Naruto put the meat down. He lost his appetite. I just worked out a lot, Naruto said, his voice tight. That's all. Asuma studied Naruto through the smoke of his cigarette. He was a veteran. He knew a deflection when he heard one. But he also knew when not to pry. Well, Asuma said, strength is good. The Akatsuki are on the move. We got reports. 2 of them have entered the land of fire. Naruto's head snapped up. Who? Haiden and Kakuzu, Asuma said. They're hunting Jinchuriki. They took the 2 tails in the cloud recently. Naruto's hand clenched around his chopsticks. Snap. The wooden sticks didn't break. They turned to dust. Everyone looked at his hand. Cheap chopsticks, Naruto muttered, brushing the sawdust onto the table. Asuma narrowed his eyes but said nothing. We move out tomorrow, Asuma said. My team, that is. We're tracking them. Naruto, you stay here and finish your jutsu. If we find them, we'll need backup. That's when you come in. I want to go with you, Naruto said intensely. If they're hunting Jinchuriki, they want me. Exactly why you shouldn't go, Shikamaru pointed out. You're the bait. We don't dangle the bait until the trap is set. Naruto looked at Shikamaru. He wanted to argue. He wanted to say I don't need a trap, I am the trap. But he couldn't. Fine, Naruto said. But if you find them, promise you'll call me. Don't try to take them alone. Don't worry, Asuma grinned, tapping the sash at his waist. We can handle ourselves. Naruto looked at Asuma's sash. He saw the fire kanji. He felt a cold premonition. A heavy, sinking feeling in his gut. His sensory perception flared, expanding outward, tasting the air of the future. It tasted like ash and blood. Asuma-sensei, Naruto said suddenly. Take this. He reached into his pocket. He pulled out the crystal leaf he had made the night before. It looked like a piece of intricate jewelry now, a perfect maple leaf made of diamond. Asuma blinked. What is this? Arts and crafts? It's a good luck charm, Naruto said. Keep it in your flak jacket. Over your heart. Asuma laughed, taking the crystal. He held it up to the light. Sparkly. Didn't know you had a sensitive side, Naruto. Just take it, Naruto insisted. All right, Asuma tucked it into his front pocket, right behind the zipper. Thanks, kid. I'll cherish it. Naruto relaxed slightly. He had poured a significant amount of his life force into that crystal. It was incredibly dense. It could stop a kunai. It could probably stop a lightning bolt. It was the only protection he could offer without revealing what he was. Be careful, Naruto said again. We're ninja. Asuma smiled, standing up and tossing money on the table. Careful is our middle name. See you later, Naruto. Asuma and Shikamaru walked out into the night. Naruto watched them go. The noise of the restaurant faded away. The smell of the meat made him nauseous. You cannot save everyone, Kurama said softly. I have to try, Naruto thought. Whatever I'm becoming, if I can't save my friends, then what's the point of all this power? He looked at his hand, the one that had turned the chopsticks to dust. I need to master this, he decided. Not just the wind. The mutation. I need to control the evolution. He stood up. Where are you going? Sakura asked. Training, Naruto said. His voice was no longer that of a boy. It was the rumble of a storm on the horizon. I have a jutsu to finish. He walked out, leaving Sakura and Sai staring at his back. Sakura shivered. Is it just me, she whispered, or does he seem older? Sai looked at his drawing. He had sketched Naruto. But instead of a face, He had drawn a silhouette of light that cast a shadow over the entire village. Not older, Sai said, closing the book. Just more. The land of fire was usually lush, a tapestry of greens and browns that smelled of wet earth and pine. But in the clearing where Team 10 fought, the air smelled only of iron and burnt flesh. Asuma Sarutobi stood with his back to a jagged rock formation, his breathing ragged. Blood trickled from a gash on his forehead, stinging his eye. His trench knives were heavy in his hands, heavier than they had ever felt before. Across the clearing stood the two Akatsuki members. Haiden, the manic zealot with the scythe, and Kakuzu, the stitched-together monster of greed. Damn it, Shikamaru Nara hissed from the bushes nearby, his shadow possession jutsu stretched to its limit. They're monsters. Literally. Haiden laughed, a sound like grinding glass. He swung his triple-bladed scythe in a lazy arc. Come on, old man. Lord Jashin is hungry. Don't you want to know what it feels like to be sacrificed? It hurts, but in a good way. Asuma grit his teeth. He had to end this. He lunged forward, channeling his wind chakra into his blades. Too slow! Haiden shrieked, countering the strike with inhuman reflexes. The scythe came down. It was aimed perfectly at Asuma's chest, the curved blade destined to hook into his ribs and drag his heart out. Asuma couldn't dodge. He was mid-swing. He braced for the end. Clang! The sound was not the wet tearing of flesh. It was the high-pitched ring of metal striking something harder than diamond. Haiden's scythe bounced off Asuma's chest. The force of the impact was still there. It lifted Asuma off his feet and threw him backward, but the blade hadn't penetrated. Asuma landed in the dirt, coughing, clutching his chest. He reached into his flak jacket pocket. He pulled out the gift Naruto had given him, the crystal maple leaf. It was no longer a perfect leaf. It had shattered into 3 large pieces, but it had held. The sheer density of the crystallized carbon structure, infused with Naruto's overwhelming life force, had acted like a plate of impenetrable armor. What the hell? Haiden stared at his scythe. The tip of the blade was chipped. You wearing a wall under that shirt? Asuma stared at the broken crystal in his hand. He could feel a faint warmth radiating from it, a ghost of the chakra that had forged it. Naruto, you really did give me a charm. Shikamaru! Choji! Ino! Asuma yelled, scrambling to his feet. Fall back. We need to regroup. Oh no you don't. Kakuzu stepped forward, his eyes cold and calculating. The bounty on your head is collected dead or alive, but I prefer dead. It's easier to carry. Kakuzu's back erupted. For black mass tore through his cloak, transforming into tendrils of black thread and raw elemental chakra. Fire style, searing migraine, wind style, pressure damage. The two masks combined their attacks. A tidal wave of fire, amplified by a hurricane-force wind, rolled toward Team 10. It was a sea of annihilation. There was nowhere to run. The heat was already singing Asuma's beard. This is it, Ino whimpered, closing her eyes. Tum! The earth shook. Not a rumble, but a singular, massive impact, as if a mountain had been dropped from the sky directly in front of them. A wall of water didn't rise to meet the fire. A wall of air pressure did. Something had landed between Team 10 and the firestorm. The impact created a shockwave so dense it acted as a physical barrier. The firestorm hit the invisible wall and washed around it, parting like a river around a stone, scorching the trees on either side but leaving Team 10 untouched in the center. As the dust settled, a figure stood in the crater. He wore a black and orange tracksuit. His back was to Team 10. He stood perfectly upright, not crouching, not bracing. He had simply dropped from the sky and let gravity do the rest. Naruto? Choji squeaked. Naruto didn't turn around immediately. He was looking at his hands. Smoke was rising from his shoulders where the fire had licked against his aura. Asuma-sensei, Naruto said. His voice was calm, but it carried a terrifying weight, vibrating in their chests. You dropped something. Naruto pointed to the ground. One of the shards of the crystal leaf lay there. Asuma stared at the boy. He felt it again, the sensation he had felt at the barbecue restaurant, but amplified tenfold. The air around Naruto felt thick, like walking through syrup. You're late, Asuma managed to say, a grin breaking through his pain. Traffic, Naruto replied. Yamato and Sakura landed beside Team 10 a moment later, looking winded. He didn't wait, Yamato gasped, hands on his knees. He just jumped. From 3 miles away, Sakura looked at the scorched earth around them, then at Naruto's back. She swallowed hard. He stopped a combined S-rank ninjutsu just by landing? Across the field, Haiden tilted his head, his silver hair matting with sweat. He licked his lips. Another one? Haiden cackled. And this one looks juicy. Kakuzu didn't laugh. His green eyes narrowed. The threads in his body wriggled uneasily. His centuries of combat experience were screaming a single word, danger. Haiden, Kakuzu warned. Be careful. That boy, he isn't normal. Not normal? Haiden stepped forward, pointing his scythe at Naruto. He's a sacrifice. Hey kid! You believe in Jashin? You want to know the sweet release of pain? Naruto finally turned. He didn't look at Kakuzu. He looked straight at Haiden. Naruto's blue eyes were bright, almost glowing. But it wasn't a glow of power, it was a glow of vitality. To Haiden, who was a creature of death and ritualistic murder, looking at Naruto was like a vampire looking into a supernova. Pain? Naruto asked softly. He took a step forward. The ground beneath his sandal depressed 2 inches into solid rock. I don't think you know what pain is, Naruto said. You just know injury. You know blood. That's just biology. Shut up! Haiden screamed, enraged by the dismissal. He sprinted forward, scythe raised. I'll bleed you dry. Naruto, dodge! Yamato yelled, preparing his wood style. Naruto didn't dodge. He watched the scythe come down. Time seemed to slow for Haiden. He saw the blade approach the boy's neck. He expected fear. He expected a block. Instead, Naruto raised his left hand. Slowly, lazily, he caught the blade. He didn't catch the handle. He caught the sharp edge of the scythe with his bare palm. Crunch! Haiden's eyes bulged. The blade hadn't cut Naruto's skin. Naruto's fingers had clamped down on the steel, and the metal had crumpled like tin foil. What? Haiden yanked the scythe. It didn't move. It was rooted in Naruto's grip as if welded there. You smell like a graveyard, Naruto said, his nose wrinkling. Rotting meat and old blood. Is that your god? Decay? Let go! Haiden shrieked. He abandoned the scythe and drew a spike from his robe, aiming for Naruto's eye. Naruto sighed. It was a heavy, weary sound. He released the scythe and flicked his finger against Haiden's forehead. It was a motion one would use to flick away a fly. Thwack! Haiden was launched backward faster than the eye could follow. He smashed through a tree, then a boulder, then plowed a trench through the forest floor for 50 meters before coming to a stop in a heap of tangled limbs. Haiden! Kakuzu shouted. Haiden groaned, trying to sit up. His neck was twisted at an unnatural angle. His immortality was the only thing keeping him conscious. My neck! He broke my neck with a finger. Naruto looked at his own finger. He rubbed the tip against his thumb. Still too much force, he muttered to himself. Need to dial it back to 0.05%. The battlefield fell silent. The wind rustled the leaves. Kakuzu stepped forward, abandoning Haiden. The greed in his eyes was replaced by a cold, calculating survival instinct. The mass swirled around him. Wind, fire, lightning, water. You represent the Nine Tails, Kakuzu deduced, his voice gravelly. The Akatsuki needs you. But looking at you, perhaps it is better to take the corpse. Take it if you can, Naruto said. Yamato, Sakura, take care of Asuma and the others, Naruto commanded. He didn't look back. Leave the stitch face to me. Naruto, don't be an idiot! Sakura yelled, healing Asuma's chest. He has 5 hearts. He's immortal too. 5 hearts? Naruto tilted his head. That just means he can die 5 times. Kakuzu didn't wait for banter. He attacked. Lightning style, false darkness. 2 massive spears of lightning shot from one of the masks, tearing through the air. They moved at the speed of light, aimed directly at Naruto's heart. Naruto saw them coming. His perception had accelerated to the point where the lightning looked like slow-moving glowing snakes. He could dodge. But if he dodged, the lightning would hit the forest behind him. It might hit the team. Block it, Kurama suggested. Use the skin. Naruto held his ground. He stiffened his muscles, channeling the yang release into his chest. His skin took on that subtle, stone-like luster. The lightning struck him dead center. Zzzrrt. A blinding flash engulfed the clearing. Shikamaru shielded his eyes. Naruto. When the light faded, Naruto was still standing. His jacket was shredded, revealing his chest. There was a black mark on his skin, like a smudge of soot. Smoke rose from his pectorals. Naruto brushed the soot away. The skin underneath was pink, slightly irritated, but unbroken. That stung, Naruto admitted. Like a bee sting. Kakuzu took a step back. That jutsu had cut through boulders. It had pierced Susanoo defenses in the past. And this boy, he just took it? What are you? Kakuzu whispered. That is not Earth Spear. That is not Iron Skin. Your body, it is not human. I've been working out, Naruto said. He raised his right hand. Time to end this. I have a new trick I need to test. Naruto extended his hand. He didn't use a clone. He didn't need one anymore to contain the rotation. His own chakra control had evolved alongside his biology. Blue chakra swirled into his palm. It spun, compressing, whining. Then, the change happened. Wind style, Naruto whispered. The blue sphere turned white. 4 massive blades of wind erupted from the center, spinning like a shuriken. The sound was excruciating, a high-pitched shriek that made everyone in the clearing cover their ears. Kakashi, arriving late with Pakken, landed on a branch nearby. His visible eye widened in horror. The density of that chakra. Kakashi thought. It's not just wind. The air around it is distorting. He's creating a gravity well. The Raisin Shuriken spun faster. The white blades began to flicker with streaks of gold, the overflow of Naruto's life force bleeding into the technique. Kakuzu felt it. Every cell in his body screamed at him to run. This wasn't a jutsu. It was an execution. All masks. Combine! Kakuzu roared. The 4 monsters merged into his body, transforming him into a massive, spider-like horror of threads and elemental chakra. He gathered every ounce of energy he had into a single beam of pure destruction. Die! Kakuzu fired the blast. Naruto didn't throw the Raisin Shuriken immediately. He looked at the incoming beam. He vanished. It wasn't the flying Raijin. It was pure leg strength. He kicked off the air itself, compressing the molecules under his feet to create a platform, and flashed directly through Kakuzu's beam. The beam washed over him, burning his clothes, but failing to stop his momentum. He appeared directly in front of Kakuzu's horrified face. Raisin Shuriken, Naruto intoned. He thrust the screaming sphere of wind and light into Kakuzu's chest. For a second, there was no sound. The sphere expanded. It didn't explode outward. It expanded inward, creating a dome of blinding energy that engulfed Kakuzu and Naruto. Inside the dome, reality broke. Naruto watched with detached fascination as the wind blades did their work. In a normal wind-style jutsu, the wind cuts flesh. Here, the wind was infused with such potent yang energy that it didn't just cut, it overwhelmed the target's biological cohesion. It commanded the cells to separate. Kakuzu didn't scream. He couldn't. His vocal cords were being dismantled molecule by molecule. Naruto saw the threads, the black, earth grudge fear threads, disintegrate. He saw the mask shatter. He saw the 5 hearts beat once, frantic and terrified, before they were erased from existence. The dome collapsed. Boom! The shockwave finally hit. It flattened the entire forest. Trees were uprooted and thrown like toothpicks. A crater 50 meters wide was carved into the earth. Naruto landed on the edge of the crater. He slid slightly, kicking up dust. He looked down. There was nothing left of Kakuzu. No body. No mask fragments. Just a fine, gray dust settling at the bottom of the pit. Naruto looked at his right arm. In his training, Kakashi had warned him that the Raisin Shuriken was a double-edged sword. That it damaged the user's arm as much as the target. Naruto rolled up his tattered sleeve. His arm was red. The skin looked raw, like a mild sunburn. As he watched, the redness faded. The skin smoothed out. Within 5 seconds, the arm was pristine again. Regeneration complete, Kurama noted. Though, calling it regeneration is generous. You merely shed the irritated outer layer. It worked, Naruto whispered. He felt hollow. He had just erased a living being. Not killed. Erased. Kakashi landed beside him. Yamato and the others followed, cautiously approaching the edge of the crater. They looked into the pit. Where is he? Ino asked, her voice trembling. Gone, Naruto said. Gone where? Shikamaru asked. Naruto pointed at the dust. Everywhere. Kakashi looked at Naruto. He looked at the uninjured arm. He looked at the crater that was smooth, as if scooped out by a spoon of God. Naruto, Kakashi said, his voice serious. Your arm. Let me see it. Naruto held it out. Kakashi inspected it. No cuts. No broken bones. Not even a tremble. Tsunade said this jutsu attacks the cellular network, Kakashi murmured. It should have destroyed your arm. I drank a lot of milk, Naruto said weakly. No one laughed. The fear in the air was palpable. It wasn't the fear of an enemy. It was the fear of the unknown. They were looking at their friend, their knucklehead ninja, and seeing something that didn't belong in the mortal world. We need to secure Haiden, Shikamaru said, breaking the tension. He's still alive. Buried somewhere. I'll handle it, Yamato said quickly, eager to look away from Naruto. Konoha Hospital. The autopsy room. There was no body to autopsy, but Tsunade insisted on examining Naruto. The room was cold, sterile. Naruto sat on the metal table, shirtless. Tsunade stood over him with a clipboard, her face pale in the fluorescent light. Shizen was running diagnostic chakra scans. This is impossible, Shizen whispered, staring at the monitors. What is it? Tsunade asked sharply. His cell division, Shizen said, her voice shaking. Lady Tsunade, look at this sample. Tsunade leaned over the microscope. She looked at the blood sample she had just taken from Naruto. The cells weren't dying. Usually, when cells are removed from the body, they begin to decay. Naruto's cells were vibrating. They were actively consuming the ambient chakra in the air on the slide. They were thriving, and the telomeres, the caps on the DNA strands that dictate aging, they weren't shortening. They were lengthening. Tsunade pulled back, horror in her honey-brown eyes. He's not aging, Tsunade whispered. He's optimizing. She looked at Naruto. He was swinging his legs, looking at the ceiling, looking bored. Naruto, Tsunade said. Yeah, Grandma? Do you feel pain? Naruto thought about it. Sometimes. But it feels distant. Like hearing someone scream in another room. Tsunade gripped her clipboard so hard the wood splintered. She knew what this was. Her grandfather, Hashirama Senju, had cells that were capable of miraculous healing. That was why everyone wanted them. That was why Madara wanted them. But Hashirama's power came at a cost. Rapid regeneration shortened the lifespan. Naruto was the opposite. His regeneration was fueling his lifespan. He was becoming an infinite loop of biological energy. If Danzo found out, if the other nations found out, they wouldn't see a boy. They wouldn't even see a Jinchuriki. They would see the key to immortality. They would see a weapon that could outlast time itself. They would dissect him while he was still awake. Tsunade made a decision. She grabbed the medical report Shizen had printed out. She walked over to the sink, struck a match, and set it on fire. Lady Tsunade? Shizen gasped. Shizen, Tsunade said, her voice steel. Prepare a new report. Naruto Uzumaki has suffered severe chakra network damage. His right arm has multiple microfractures. He is forbidden from using the Raisin Shuriken again. It is too dangerous to his body. Naruto looked at her, confused. But I'm fine. Shut up, brat, Tsunade snapped, but her eyes were wet. She walked over and grabbed his face, forcing him to look at her. Listen to me. You are injured. You are human. Do you understand? Naruto looked into her eyes. He saw the fear. He saw the fierce protectiveness. He understood. I'm injured, Naruto repeated softly. My arm hurts like hell. Good, Tsunade released him. Now get out of here. Go eat ramen. Act like an idiot. Naruto hopped off the table. He grabbed his shirt. Hey, Grandma? What? Thanks. He walked to the door. As he grabbed the handle, the metal groaned. He paused, took a deep breath, relaxed his grip, and opened it gently. Tsunade watched him leave. He's evolving, isn't he? Shizen asked quietly. He's ascending, Tsunade corrected, staring at the ashes of the medical report in the sink. God help us all. Outside the hospital, the night was cool. Naruto walked through the empty streets. He looked at his hand, the hand that had erased a man, the hand that had broken an immortal's neck with a flick. He clenched his fist. I have to hide it, he thought. I have to be the mask. He saw a stray cat sitting on a fence. It hissed at him, its fur standing up, sensing the predator within. Naruto crouched down. He suppressed his aura. He imagined himself small, weak, harmless. He pulled the ocean of his chakra so deep inside that not a drop leaked out. Here, kitty, he whispered. The cat hesitated. It sniffed the air. The pressure was gone. It hopped down and rubbed against his leg, purring. Naruto smiled. It was a genuine smile, but it was sad. I can do it, he whispered to the cat. I can pretend. But as he stood up, he saw his shadow stretching long under the streetlight. The shadow didn't look like a boy. It looked like a multi-tailed beast, writhing and vast, swallowing the street whole. The evolution wasn't stopping. It was just beginning. And the next time he fought, he knew the mask might slip again. And next time, the world might not be able to look away. The popsicle was melting. Naruto sat on a bench under the streetlights of Konoha, the twin stick of blue ice cream dripping sticky rivulets onto his hand. He stared at it, but he didn't see it. He saw a smile. A wide, perverted, goofy smile framed by a mane of white hair. Split it with me, brat. The memory was so loud it drowned out the chirping of crickets. Naruto's hand trembled. Not from cold, but from a sudden, violent spike in blood pressure. The plastic stick in his hand groaned. Snap. The wood didn't break. It disintegrated. The ice cream fell to the ground with a wet splat. Naruto didn't move. He stared at the blue puddle spreading near his sandals. He's gone, Naruto whispered. The words felt like stones in his mouth. Earlier that day, Fukasaku, the old toad sage, had appeared in the Hokage's office. He had brought the news. Jiraiya the gallant. The toad sage. The pervy sage. Dead. Killed by the leader of the Akatsuki. Killed by his own former student. When Fukasaku had told them, Tsunade had gripped her desk. She had cried. Naruto hadn't cried. When the words hit him, his body had reacted instinctively. His heart had stopped beating for a full 10 seconds, seizing up like an engine thrown into reverse, before slamming back into a rhythm so heavy it rattled the windows of the office. The air pressure in the room had dropped, popping everyone's ears. He had walked out. He couldn't stay there. He couldn't let them see him. Because he knew if he opened his mouth to scream, he wouldn't just make a noise. He might level the building. Now, sitting alone in the dark, the grief finally tried to claw its way out. Damn it, he hissed. Damn it, pervy sage. He squeezed his eyes shut. A tear formed. Just one. It rolled down his cheek. It was heavy, dense with salt and minerals, a byproduct of his hyper-efficient biology purging toxins. It fell onto the bench. Clack. It sounded like a ball bearing hitting the wood. Naruto. The voice was soft. Irika Yumino stood under the streetlight, looking at his former student. He held a bag of ramen takeout. I heard, Irika said gently. He sat down next to Naruto. He didn't try to hug him. He sensed, perhaps instinctively, the barrier of raw, vibrating energy that surrounded the boy. He's dead, Irika-sensei, Naruto said, staring at his feet. He went alone. I told him the Akatsuki were dangerous. But he just went. He went to protect you, Irika said. And to protect the village. That was his ninja way. It was a stupid way, Naruto growled. The bench creaked ominously. If I had been there, I could have stopped it. I could have crushed them, maybe, Irika said. But maybe he didn't want you to see him die. Or maybe he wanted to give you the one thing he couldn't give you while he was alive. Naruto looked up. What's that? A reason to finish what he started. Iruka reached out and placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto flinched. Don't touch me. I'm a wire carrying 1,000,000 volts. But Iruka didn't pull away. He squeezed. It was a weak, human grip. It was warm. You're not alone, Naruto. You're strong. Scary strong lately. But you don't have to carry the sky by yourself. The anger in Naruto's chest subsided, replaced by a dull, aching emptiness. The golden glow in his veins dimmed. The air pressure normalized. Thanks, Iruka-sensei, Naruto whispered. He stood up. The bench had a permanent indentation where he had been sitting, the wood compressed into a hard, glossy composite. I have to go, Naruto said. Shikamaru said there was a code. A message on his back. I have to figure it out. Go, Iruka nodded. Naruto walked away, stepping over the puddle of melted ice cream. He didn't look back. The boy who ate popsicles was gone. Only the vessel remained. The decoding was a blur. The cryptic numbers. The book. The real one is not among them. It was a warning. A tactical advantage bought with Jiraiya's blood, but knowing the secret wasn't enough. Naruto knew that. He had felt the power of the Akatsuki when he fought Kakuzu. And pain. Pain had killed Jiraiya. Jiraiya, who was stronger than the Sannin. I need to get stronger, Naruto told Fukasaku the next morning. They stood on the roof of the hospital. Take me to Mount Myaboku. Teach me what you taught him. Fukasaku, the small green toad with the tuft of white hair, looked at Naruto with sad, rheumy eyes. He held a pipe in his mouth. Sage mode isn't a jutsu, boy, Fukasaku warned. It's a state of being. It's dangerous. If you fail, you turn to stone. Forever. I'm already turning into something, Naruto muttered, looking at his hand. Might as well be stone, Fukasaku frowned. He had sensed it too. The boy's chakra felt ancient. Fine, Pa-Toad said. But we don't have much time. Pain will come for you. Grab on. Naruto grabbed the toad. Reverse summoning jutsu. Space twisted. The village vanished. Mount Myaboku was a world of giants. Massive leaves the size of rooftops created a canopy that filtered the sunlight into a neon green haze. The air was thick, humid, and tasted of ozone and wet soil. To a normal human, the air was rich and invigorating. To Naruto, it was deafening. The moment he appeared in the central plaza of the Toad Realm, he grabbed his head and dropped to his knees. Gah! Naruto? Fukasaku hopped off his shoulder. What's wrong? The altitude sickness? Noise, Naruto gasped. So much noise? It wasn't sound. It was life. Konoha had background radiation of nature energy, trees, grass, people. But Mount Myaboku was saturated with it. The very air was alive. The rocks were humming. The water in the giant fountains was singing. Naruto's body, which had been starving for this energy in the relatively sterile human world, suddenly opened its floodgates. His pores dilated. His chakra network flared to life, glowing visibly through his clothes. Naruto! Close the intake valves. Kurama roared in his mind. It's too much. You'll overdose. I can't. Naruto screamed internally. It's rushing in. It feels like drowning in honey. Fukasaku watched in alarm as a whirlwind began to form around Naruto. Leaves were sucked toward him. Dust rose in a spiral. The golden aura around Naruto turned jagged, violent. Boy! Calm your mind! Fukasaku yelled. He raised his cane to strike Naruto, intending to disrupt the flow. But before he could strike, Naruto slammed his hands onto the ground. Crack! A shockwave of pure physical force flattened the grass for 50 meters. The whirlwind dispersed. Naruto panted, sweat dripping from his chin. His eyes were wide, the pupils dilated. I'm okay, Naruto wheezed. Just caught me off guard. Fukasaku lowered his cane, his eyes wide. You didn't meditate, the old toad whispered. You didn't sit still. You just drank it. It forced its way in, Naruto admitted, standing up shakily. He felt drunk. Power coursed through him, bubbly and effervescent. He felt like he could jump over the mountain. That's impossible, Fukasaku muttered. Nature energy requires stillness to gather. You were panicking, Yet you absorbed it faster than Jiraiya-chan ever could. Is that good? No, Fukasaku said grimly. It's terrifying. Come. We have work to do. The training began immediately. Usually, the first step to learning Sage Mode was using the secret toad oil. The oil attracted nature energy, forcing it into the user's body to help them feel it. Fukasaku led Naruto to the oil fountain. Listen, Pa explained. Senjutsu is about balance. Physical energy, spiritual energy, and nature energy. You have to balance them perfectly, 1/3 each. If nature energy exceeds the others, you become a toad. Then you turn to stone. He pointed to the garden of stone statues surrounding the fountain. Frozen frogs. Ancestors who failed. Naruto looked at them. They didn't look like statues to him. They looked like batteries that had short-circuited. He could feel the trapped energy inside them, stagnant and cold. Hold out your arm, Fukasaku ordered. I'll put a little oil on you. Be ready to knock it off if you start transforming. Naruto rolled up his sleeve. His skin was pale, hard, and hairless. Fukasaku dipped his finger in the oil and touched Naruto's wrist. Ss. There was a sound like water hitting a hot pan. The oil didn't sit on Naruto's skin. It vanished. Absorbed instantly. Whoa, Naruto blinked. That tickled. Fukasaku stared. It went in? Yeah. Can I have more? Fukasaku hesitated, then poured a small cup over Naruto's arm. Again, the oil was sucked into the pores immediately. Naruto's arm began to glow. Patches of orange pigmentation appeared around his eyes, then vanished just as quickly. Do you feel the frog transformation taking hold? Fukasaku asked, raising his beating stick ready to knock the nature energy out. Do you feel the webbing on your fingers? Naruto looked at his hand. No webbing. He flexed his fingers. The air popped. I just feel heavy, Naruto said. And hungry. Hungry? My cells, Naruto touched his chest. They want more. They're eating the nature energy, Pa. They aren't balancing it. They're metabolizing it. Fukasaku dropped the cup. It shattered. He realized then that he wasn't teaching a human how to use a tool. He was feeding a beast. Jiraiya, Fukasaku whispered to the sky. What did you bring me? Days passed. Or maybe hours. Time was fluid on the mountain. They skipped the oil. Naruto didn't need it. He didn't need to sit perfectly still, either. Even when he was moving, eating, or sleeping, his body was acting as a low-level vacuum for nature energy. The training shifted to lifting the stone frog. It was a test of balance. To lift the massive stone statues, one needed sage chakra to enhance physical strength. Naruto stood in front of a statue that was twice his size. It was solid granite. Use the senjutsu, Pa instructed. Balance the chakra. Naruto closed his eyes. He didn't visualize a balance scale. He visualized a fusion reactor. Mix it, he commanded. Chakra. Soul. Nature. The three energies slammed together in his gut. Usually, this required delicate threading. But Naruto's body forced them together with brute force. He opened his eyes. They were yellow. The horizontal bar of the toad sage pupil was there, but it was thin, sharp, predatory. The orange pigmentation around his eyes wasn't paint, it was his skin changing color, becoming thicker, armored. He grabbed the statue. He didn't lift it. He threw it. The granite frog sailed into the air, cleared the tree line, and crashed into a distant peak, shattering upon impact. Too hard. Pa yelled, dodging falling debris. You have to control it. If you use that much power, you'll break the thing you're trying to lift. I can't feel the weight. Naruto shouted back. It feels like styrofoam. He looked at his hands. They were turning gray. Pa! My hands! Fukasaku leaped forward. You're turning to stone. Stop the flow. He swung his baton with all his might, aiming for Naruto's head to disrupt the chakra. Crack! The wooden baton struck Naruto's head. The baton shattered into splinters. Naruto didn't even flinch. He stood there, the gray color receding from his hands, returning to his normal skin tone. Fukasaku stared at the broken stick in his hand. That stick was made of special iron bamboo. It was harder than steel. The stick broke, Naruto said apologetically. Sorry, Pa. Fukasaku dropped the handle. He looked at Naruto with a mixture of awe and profound fear. The stone transformation, Fukasaku murmured. It didn't take hold because you stopped absorbing nature energy. It stopped because your body assimilated the stone property. What? You didn't turn into a statue, Fukasaku explained, his voice trembling. You turned your skin into armor. You are taking the properties of nature, rock, wind, oil, and making them part of your biology. Naruto looked at his palms. Is that bad? It's not sage mode, Fukasaku said. Sage mode is a cloak you put on and take off. This is evolution. You are becoming a sage creature. Like me. Like Gamabunta. You are ceasing to be human. Naruto went silent. The wind rustled the giant leaves above. If I stop being human, Naruto asked quietly, will I be strong enough to kill pain? Fukasaku looked at the boy's face. He saw the determination etched there, harder than the granite he had just thrown. Yes, Fukasaku whispered. You will be strong enough to kill gods. That night, Naruto couldn't sleep. The hum of the mountain was too loud. He wandered away from the toad huts, walking until he reached a massive shrine covered in vines. Inside sat the great toad sage, Gamamaru. The giant, ancient toad who had prophesied Jiraiya's destiny. Naruto walked in. The old toad was asleep, a bubble expanding and contracting from his nose. Hey, Gramps, Naruto said softly. The bubble popped. Gamamaru opened one sleepy eye. Who is there? The giant toad rumbled. Naruto Uzumaki. Jiraiya's student. Gamamaru shifted. He squinted. Ah, the boy with the blue eyes. Or are they blue? Gamamaru leaned closer. His giant eye, cloudy with centuries of visions, focused on Naruto. No, Gamamaru rumbled. Not blue. I see oceans. I see storms. I see a vessel that is overflowing. Pa says I'm turning into a monster, Naruto said, sitting on the floor. He says I'm losing my humanity. Humanity, Gamamaru chuckled, a sound like grinding boulders. A fleeting concept. Humans are fragile containers. They leak. They break. You are becoming a mountain. I don't want to be a mountain, Naruto said, his voice cracking. I want to eat ramen. I want to hang out with Sakura and Kakashi. I want to be Hokage. The world changes, Gamamaru said. The cycle of hatred is a wheel. Jiraiya tried to stop the wheel. Nagato tries to break the wheel. But you, Gamamaru paused. I had a dream about you, child. Naruto looked up. A prophecy? I saw you standing in the sky, Gamamaru recited slowly. The ground was far below. You were alone. There was no one beside you. Not because they left you, but because they could not reach you. You were the sun. You gave life, you gave warmth. But anyone who touched you burned. Naruto shivered. That sounds lonely. Power is isolation, Gamamaru said. To become the apex, you must stand above the rest. Are you prepared for that? To save the leaf, you must become something the leaf cannot understand. Naruto thought of Jiraiya. He thought of the smile. Split it with me, brat. He thought of Asuma. He thought of the village. If I stay human, Naruto said, pain destroys the village. Everyone dies. Likely, Gamamaru agreed. Then I don't care, Naruto stood up. The ground beneath him cracked slightly. I'll be the sun. I'll burn. I'll turn to stone. Whatever it takes. Gamamaru closed his eye. Then go, the great sage said. The evolution is not a curse, Naruto. It is a return. You are remembering what your bloodline forgot long ago. The Uzumaki were once the wardens of life. You are simply waking up. The final day of training. Naruto sat on top of a jagged stone spike, hundreds of feet in the air. This was the pinnacle of balance training. He had to sit on a point sharp enough to impale him, stay perfectly still, and gather nature energy. Fukasaku watched from below with a telescope. He's been up there for 12 hours, Gamakichi said, sitting beside his father. Is he dead? Look closely, Fukasaku said. Gamakichi squinted. Naruto wasn't sitting on the spike. He was hovering about an inch above it. Gravity around Naruto had warped. The density of the nature energy he had absorbed was so high that he had created his own localized gravitational field. He was floating in a meditative trance. The orange pigmentation around his eyes had settled. It was dark, crimson-orange, extending down his cheeks like tears of war paint. His pupils were permanently slitted, a cross between a toad and a fox, and his back. On his back, the scroll Jiraiya used to carry was gone. Instead, two distinct ridges had formed under his shirt near his shoulder blades. Chakra vents. Like exhaust ports for a nuclear reactor. He's done. Fukasaku lowered the telescope. He mastered Sage Mode? Gamakichi asked. No, Fukasaku shook his head. He mastered himself. He has stabilized the mutation. Suddenly, Naruto's eyes snapped open. Up on the spire, Naruto gasped. He felt it. It wasn't a sound. It was a disturbance in the fabric of the atmosphere. A ripple of malicious, cold chakra entering the sensory range of the land of fire. He felt a massive displacement of air miles away. He felt the sky over Konoha darken. He felt death. They're here, Naruto whispered. He stood up on the air, then stepped down onto the spike. He looked down at Fukasaku. Pa! Naruto's voice boomed across the valley without shouting. It's time. We need to go. Is it pain? Fukasaku asked, hopping onto a large summoning scroll. Yes, Naruto said. His face was a mask of cold fury. He's at the gates. I can feel him killing the guards. We need to summon the toads. Gamabunta, Gamaken, everyone! Gamakichi yelled. No, Naruto said. He landed on the ground. The impact was silent. He moved like a ghost now. No toads, Naruto said. Just us. If the others come, they'll just get in the way. In the way? Gamakichi was offended. We're giant warrior toads. Pain destroyed the village in my vision, Naruto said. He leveled it. If giant targets are there, he'll just have more things to kill. Naruto walked over to the summoning circle Fukasaku had prepared. I'll handle the heavy lifting, Naruto said. Pa, you stay on my shoulder and guide me. Ma, you gather nature energy just in case I run dry. Run dry? Shima, Ma Toad, appeared, looking skeptical. Boy, you're leaking energy like a broken dam. You won't run dry. Naruto adjusted his headband. The metal plate gleamed. Let's go home. Fukasaku activated the reverse summoning technique. Poof! Konoha. The sky was filled with smoke. The screaming had started. Pain stood in the center of the village. The Deva path. He looked around at the chaos with cold indifference. Almighty push, he whispered. The world turned white. Buildings were sheared off their foundations. The hospital, the academy, the ramen shop, everything was swept away by an invisible hand of God. The dust cloud rose miles high. In the center of the crater, Pain stood alone. This is the world knows pain, he declared. But then, the dust swirled. It didn't settle. It was pushed back. A column of golden light erupted from the center of the ruins. It pierced the dust cloud, shooting straight into the stratosphere. The pressure hit Pain. For the first time, the Deva path stumbled back. From the golden light, a figure walked out. He wore a red coat with black flames at the hem, a modified version of his father's cloak, materialized out of pure chakra. He floated a few inches off the ground. His eyes were purple gold, burning with a light that wasn't reflected, but generated. Naruto Uzumaki had returned. He looked around at the crater that used to be his home. He saw the rubble. He felt the thousands of fading heartbeats under the debris. He felt Tsunade's chakra, weak and flickering, nearby. He looked at Pain. Pain looked back. The Rinnegan met the sage eyes. You have grown, Pain said. But you are still just a man. Naruto didn't speak. He raised a hand. The air around Pain cracked. The gravity increased tenfold instantly. Pain was forced to his knees, the ground shattering under his shins. I am not a man, Naruto said. His voice sounded like two voices speaking at once, human and beast, mortal and divine. I am the warning you ignored. The battle for godhood had begun.